Right, welcome to our next recording, which is the corporate elephant in the room. And today I have Rocco with me from Mexico, all the way from there, another hospitality like-minded person from our industry. And I really, really love his job and his innovation. So Rocco, sorry, introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your project that you are working on.
Sure, Sylvia. Thank you for having me today at your show. And good morning to everyone, or good evening, wherever time you are based. So, my name is Rocco. I am Italian of origin. I just turned 52 in December last year. And I've been working this industry for 30 years. My God, where is the time gone?
Goes
So 30
fast.
years, but I still look 25 in my heart, so that's okay. That's important to feel young. That's extremely important. And I'm extremely passionate about what I do. And I discovered my passion exactly when I was 13 years old, when I got my first job in a small bar in my hometown. And after 3 days, I was fired because I was making too much damage. But that firing actually sparked my passion because I said to myself, I can do that. I can hold the tray. And I started the whole winter to train myself in my house to hold the tray. And the next summer, I got a better job. And the following summer, a much better job. And then people started to calling me. And then, the rest is history, of course. The past 6 years, I've been living in Mexico. I love Mexico. It's a wonderful country with wonderful people. But then 2 years ago, I had another how to say I don't know if to call it a breakdown or breakup. Meaning that I had an idea, or I had the urge to do something. Because when you turn 50, and for those who are not yet 50, you will realize that you lived half a century, and you're probably going to have another 30 years of life ahead of you. So you better do something that has a meaning for yourself and for the others. When you reach a leadership position, you become somehow an influencer, and as such, you need to leave something good, something that can be continued for the future generation, or at least a few generations to come. I don't know, with the things that we are doing at the moment, I don't know where we're going, but at least a few more generation for sure.
Yes.
So then I thought about, okay, what can we change in our industry? And definitely there was one major aspect because when I turned 50, I was in the middle of the pandemic. And one of the things that hurt me the most was the loss of many, many great, amazing people in the industry. Because the majority of company, they decided, without thinking the consequences, they say, okay, I'm going to use a harsh word. Let's get rid of people first. Because payroll is a cost to most companies. It's not an investment, it's just a cost. And so they thought, okay, let's remove 50, 60, 70, up to 90% of payroll so we can survive as a company. And then what happened was obviously what's happening today. Everybody is struggling for stuff. Business is back to normal. Companies want to grow, and they cannot find people. They don't want to pay better salary. They don't want to pay better benefit, and of course everyone is crying. However, it seems that nothing has stopped the economic growth and obviously the growth of big hospitality companies. But then we, as a customers, we are suffering because we cannot have the service that we expect. luggage at airport are missing or lost. There is no more 24 hours service in some hotels, not all of the hotels, but some hotels, because obviously you don't have staff. And I could talk for hours about this. So then I decided, okay, I think that we need to do something in the hospitality industry that is going to make a difference. And I started to focus not so much on the hotel concept as such, because you cannot really change a hotel concept. Hotel is a hotel, but what you can change is the business model of the hotel. And so I created my humble house, which is a beautiful hotel. It's a beautiful luxury hotel, or will be a beautiful luxury hotel, that also is going to have some beautiful residences next to it, because we want to have a community, not just a hotel. And there are three main points that focuses on the business model. The first is that we will pay the best salaries and the best benefit in the industry to our team members. Something like when you used to say that customer can show you what a better price can find online, you will match it or you will get it better. Something like that. The
Okay.
second is that up to 10% of the net profit of the company will be shared with the team members. So the point is that I, as an employee, I can contribute to better profitability because I earn part of that profit. And the third is that 10% of the net profit will be put in a fund which is untouchable, not even by the owners or investors. And this money will be kept for endless years in case of situation like the one we just been through. We don't want to say, hey, the company has no money. We cannot do anything for you because we have no money. Because that's what happened. Company
Yes.
they had no saving, in theory, and then they obviously had to make decision to preserve cash or to preserve bleeding. No, no, no. My humble house will have a fund. We'll have a 10% of the net profit, which will be kept exactly for this kind of situation. So we may not be able to survive forever, but at least we can guarantee a period of time. As
Yeah.
long as it runs off, but at least the people will have this safety net.
I
And
love it.
guess what? I opened a LinkedIn page for my humble house, and I already have nearly 2,500 followers. And this has only been a year, just a year. Then I created a business plan for my humble house. I have the financial model for 10 years running. I purchased the domain, so as soon as possible I will create my website. And I also registered the brand in Mexico at least. So my humble house name can only be used anywhere, but not in Mexico. And I have begun talking to investors now, so to see what interest there is. It just this week, like Wednesday and Friday, I actually had two meetings with two different investors that they were very interested. And let's see, watch this space.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this little company because the vision is great, and I love that how you incorporated people into that project. Because sharing profit and matching everybody's price is like Booking.com. I think Agoda does that, right?
Mhm.
It's a fantastic concept, and I think this is what. And you highlighted a lot of areas that what we wanted to talk about today, because the elephant in the room is poor recruitment practices, right?
Mm.
And I don't even know where we could start. You've been in the industry for 30 years. I've been in the industry for 19, almost 20. And Yes, we are doing the same thing as we did probably 20 years ago. I mean, I haven't seen any difference. We might have technology now to speed up the process, but we are struggling. And what I really noticed or even on LinkedIn or on social media, the recruiters are struggling to find talent, and talent find it struggling to find a job. There is a massive disconnect somewhere because everybody is suffering, both sides. Plus, not only the people, the companies, recruitment agencies. I'm like, okay, everybody is doing the same thing, or we are all looking for the same thing. How come that we are, just such a miss? And you said something, and I wanted to kick off with one topic. um, I think age became a problem. Especially COVID. During COVID, I noticed here in this region, I'm talking about the GCC, that more experienced staff, which is the older generation, with higher packages, they were the first one to go. Obviously, because it's all about money saving, right?
Mhm.
No, but we did not think about, and even up until today, sometimes when I see recruitment strategies, well, there's not many going around in the hospitality industry, is is all about how cheap can I get labor for? But there is nothing. What is the talent that we need? What is the skill? Look, you just open the company, you manage a website, you build distribution, you manage franchises. How much of a skill and competencies you have developed during the 30 years that the industry gave you, and the very industry that brought you up, same with me probably, cannot leverage and capitalize on that skill, and they just push you out. Not you personally, but everybody, because I have seen that. So I don't think we know. My personal problem is that we don't see talent, we see only CVs, and we don't know what to do with talent, even if it's right in front of us. And that's the biggest part of our recruitment strategy and the recruitment approach. What do you think?
Well, you hit the nail of recruitment process because recruitment, you are just mentioned the word process. We, human being, we are process. When we do a check-in, we say to the guest, Mr. Bova, let me do the check-in process. We are processing everything. Where's the human part here? We forgot that there is a human element in
Mm-hmm.
everything. We call it process because it's simple, it's mechanic, has steps, but we don't really need that any longer. I think that the pandemic, at least to me, taught me so many things, and particularly taught me that I'm not a process anymore. I decided that I don't want to be a process. Yes, there are some certain steps that I need to take in order to achieve what I want to achieve, but I need to use a lot more my brain than just thinking the process. I'll give you an example. Just the day before yesterday, I was in Mexico City, and I wanted to extend one more night in the same hotel that I stayed. So it was a nightmare. Not only I had to speak to five different people who gave me five different rates, but when I spoke to the receptionist, I asked her, just can you put yourself in my shoes for a moment? Do you think that this process, because she told me, well, is that our system has a process and I cannot overcome this process? And I told her, do you think logically that this process makes sense as a person? And you know what was her answer? She told me, yes, I think so. Oh, oh my God. Okay, I said, you know what? Forget it. Just tell me how much I have to pay and I'll pay it. Because I was to the point that I wanted to check out of the hotel and go to another hotel. But because I didn't want to bother, I have no much time. I said, okay, you know what? Let's. I don't want to lose my health for that. But guess what? This thinking, this behavior, always come from the top. It doesn't come
Yep.
from the junior employee that is there at reception because she's just been told, no, no, you have to follow the process. And therefore, I only blame the leadership. I don't blame the poor young person. She's an experience. You probably had maybe 6, 8 months, 1 year of
Yep.
experience, and I cannot blame her. It's not her fault. So definitely, is the company lead, is the number one, the very person at the very top that is saying, no, 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 we need to use systems because systems are great. So the recruitment process, it doesn't change much. It's exactly the same thing. It's whoever is at the top that decide what process are we going to use because the process work. I will ditch all the process in the garbage, and we need to start from scratch, from real zero. For example, one of the things that I will implement or I will use as process in my humble house is actually reverse the process. So what normally is in a recruitment process is that you put a advertisement out and say we're looking for staff, and then you go through the interview process again, and then you do a selection process again, and then you get to eventually to one or two candidates that you will make an offer, and then you will go through the induction process. I will reverse that completely.
Okay.
So I will start with the induction first, because the induction, the 2 days or 3 days induction that a company does to make sure that the employees knows exactly who we are, what we want, what are our values, what is our vision, what are the bathroom, what are the changing room of the staff, what is the staff canteen, and so on. You only discover at the end of well, you already signed your contract as an employee, and oops, oh my God, I don't like this, I don't like that. What is this? This is not me. So it's too late.
Yeah.
No, let's reverse that. Let's start with the induction. Let's do the 2 or 3 days induction course for the staff, and then from there you start selecting and interviewing the people that you really want, and they really feel that belong to the company.
I agree, and I've seen this, and like we had so many people. They joined for one day, they came to work, and they never came back, or left within 1 week or 2 weeks. It doesn't really matter, but it's very very important because when we join a company in the first 1 week, you already do the temperature check. You already know, do I want to stay here or not? And not allowing that for the colleagues, for the employee or future employee, even if it's a trial day, and or just trial days for both of us. Come and try out. I always looked at trial day that it's not just me need to see you, but you need to see us, because it's a two-way process. And I think this is where employers get really really arrogant, and that is pisses me off sometimes, that they are doing us a favor. It's just my way. You need to fit into my culture. No, sweetheart, I also need to see if what you're doing is suitable and fits my values, my way of thinking, my expectations towards, whatever you are going to provide me. And I agree. Now, I don't know how it would look like on a large scale, because we need to think about these massive companies, hotel companies, but you can break them down into individual hotels, right? I think
Sure, of course.
you know why the processes don't make any sense? I mean, we need processes, no question about it, because when you start managing the mass, you really need processes. But what is missing, that we implement these processes for a reason, so we can extract data, we know where we go wrong, etc., but we don't have any of those. So we have the massive processes, and the process is put in place so it can provide us data, but we don't use the data. So then why use the process? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And sometimes I'm like, what the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing? And spotting. And you know what? I absolutely agree with reversing the process. Obviously, we would have to think of the logistics, how many days, maybe not 2 or 3, because people can't take 2 days, 3 days off, especially if they are employed. But definitely come to us. And this reminds me of something. I was talking and I told her, I'm like, let me tell Rocco on Saturday. I have a friend. She is interviewing. She was approached by a large company, hotel company in Europe. Okay, she's based in Germany, for a regional European L&D manager role. Okay, it's not a director role. It's few countries she will look after in terms of L&D management from corporate. Guess how many interviews she is doing? She's at the 5th interview. It's only the Pope who hasn't seen her. It's only the Pope who hasn't seen her. I'm like, we don't interview 5 times the GM or the VPs. I'm like, what is this role? And she's already frustrated and upset. She doesn't even want to. She goes like, I never wanted. They approached me and now they're dragging me through this hustle. I mean,
let me tell you a little story, Sylvia, that happened to me a couple of months ago. That also let me think that no, I don't want to continue that, and I don't think I will work for a company like that. So okay, it was a senior role. I understand that it was a senior role, and it was for a general manager role. But then I had the first call with the recruitment director, and through this first initial call, I had a feeling that I was kind of guided to say what they want to hear rather than say who I really am. And that was more than one time during the interview, which was about an hour. And at one point, I had to be truthful and transparent. And my question was, do you really want me to answer the question as Rocco Bova, or you want me to answer the question as you want to hear them? Because I'm not going to lie about me. I'm not going to invent a story that it matches your expectations of answers. I'm going to tell the story that changed my life and that helped me become who I am today. So anyway, then the conversation became a little bit smoother, but I still felt that it wasn't right. And then at the end of the conversation, I was told that I was going to be receiving a link to a test that I had to do online for about 3 hours. Wait, and that was only the beginning of the process. There were at least another 2 or 3 people more that I had to talk about before getting the offer. So at that point, I said, wait a minute. It was the weekend. I worked very hard during the weekdays, and I said to myself, am I really going to waste 3 hours of my time doing a test, working possibly for a company that I don't want to work? So I took a decision and I brought back to the person who interviewed me, and I said, I regret to inform you that I think at this time is not the right opportunity for me. But thank you so much for the time you spent, and let's stay in touch in for future. So I just thought that no, I don't want to do that.
yeah,
I don't want.
you had a very quick temperature check, and that's okay. But 3 hours of assessment. I mean, what the hell are we assessing people for? And this is what, from my aspect, because I'm in learning and talent development, right? Talent is so missing from recruitment. We rely heavily on the CV. We rely heavily on the experience, what is black and white written. You could literally write anything on that piece of paper and they would buy into it rather than seeing what the person is about, during a very casual conversation sometimes. And is all about assessment, which I'm not against. I love assessments. I have a psychology background, so I love running assessments. But we need to know how to spot talent. There was once in my life, and this is what I miss from recruitment. Once in my life from Ireland, my CV somehow got to an Irish recruiter. I don't know how. And this guy calls me and he goes through my CV, okay? And he goes, oh, you've done F&B, you have done rooms division, you've done learning and development, you've done operation, you've done corporate, etc., etc. And he goes, you would make a fantastic number 2 in a hotel. And I looked at him. I'm like, nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever. But if you look at my background, you put those pieces together, I can bloody run a hotel, that's for sure, because I spent 19 years there and I know how to run a hotel. But that was the one and only time during 19 years that a person actually looked at what do I have and what would I be capable of doing with the experiences that I have collected throughout the year. And this is, since that guy, this is what I'm looking for. This is the standard. That guy set the bar for everybody out there. And this is what I'm not finding.
You know what most people are looking when they go through the CV? How long you stayed in a position.
I know.
They don't look what you have done. They look, oh, this guy only stayed, for 12 months. He's not good. He's not good enough. He's not going to stay with us for very long. Who tells you that? How
Logic.
much do you know? How much do you know about me? Another interview that I also had recently. By the way, sometimes I do interview even when I'm not looking for a job.
Oh, yeah. It's good to have.
Because I sharpen my soul, I sharpen my skills, but also, curiosity sometimes. Let's see what they're up to, these people, Anyway, so I go through this interview, and that was all, it's a standard because I heard this already so many times, so it was just one more time. So the question was, hey, Rocco, why did you stay so short in a few places? And my answer was candid. And I told her, do you prefer to employ somebody that will work for the same company for 30 years? Or you prefer somebody who for 30 years has worked for many companies and has a lot of experience and many different point of view on how to assess the business?
Yeah.
I got no answer back, obviously, because they didn't know what to answer. They were not expecting even that. And I told her, I think I can bring a lot more to the table than a person that worked for the same company for 30 years.
I guarantee you that.
Anyway, at the end, I was not offered the job, but I
they don't like to be challenged. They don't like to be challenged. And the moment you are a little bit different, and I loved what you said, that they wanted you to say what they wanted to hear, and this is what is ridiculous in corporate, the corporate world, that you prepare yourself for an interview with what they want to hear. So we don't get anybody, like I don't get Rocco, I don't get Sylvia, I don't get that person. I receive something that the person is prepared already and maybe looked up on YouTube, which I sometimes notice when I interview people. I'm like, this is from straight up from YouTube, or social media. And because we say, especially in hospitality, we want authenticity. But then from day one, what you actually expect from me is to tell you what you want to hear. I actually want to hear about that person. What is the new idea that you would bring to the table? I want to know, even if the idea is crazy, and I completely disagree with it, but what I take away is your way of thinking. Oh, he or she can think differently, which is really good because the industry needs different ways of thinking, because we are living back in the 1956. And by the CV, where you spend your time, and I agree with you, spending the same amount of years in the same company, I did that mistake. I mean, I love my company, but I think it was a mistake from some aspect, because all I know is what that company is doing. I don't know anything else. Now I study organization, so I know what's going on. but you put me in another company, I would be like, okay, that's not how we do things. That would be, so you don't
Yeah,
want those people. You want flexible people who collected so many
of course.
experiences, and so they can apply it. I know.
Do you know, Sylvia, when I am when I interview people, you know what I said to them? I only want to have 1 year of commitment from you. Because if you come and join me and you stay for 3 months and then you go because another company is paying you more money, then I prefer you not to join us. Give me 1 year and you will learn something and I will take something out of you as well. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
No matter which position, even if it's a senior leader, it doesn't matter. Because I don't expect people to get married with a company. If they want to, because they like it, because it's convenient, because it's next door to my house, because they treat me well, the environment of work is nice, it's okay.
Yeah.
But if you want to leave, it's okay too.
Exactly.
I made the same choice, and I grew with the opportunity. When I saw there was an opportunity, I went and I left. But I believe at least I have left something back. I'm not taking away everything with me.
Yeah.
Okay, we achieved something. Okay, that's yours now to make it even better.
Yeah.
And I move on to something because this is what I want. If the company that is employing me cannot provide me what I want or what I need, then I need to be free to go. I don't need to be counter offered. No, please don't go. Well, I don't want to
Yeah.
stay here.
I think it's
Maybe
the old school mentality from both sides, right? Employer plus employee as well, because you will find employees, oh no, I need to. You know how many employees I had in my life? They said, oh no, I need to stick it out for at least 1 year because it goes on my CV. And then I look at the person, I'm like, sweetheart, you can write anything on that piece of paper. Literally anything. If it's really that what bothers you. Now I don't encourage anybody to lie, but we are programmed to go with live our lives according to a piece of paper. I'm like, and in 5 minutes it doesn't really matter. Just all you need to do is the next job.
Hey Sylvia, let's talk about actually, in bigger company because you also worked for bigger groups, and let's talk about this automated or this career page of companies. I don't know
Oh,
if you agree with me, but my experience is the following with the career page of a big company. Even small company they do have it, but let's talk
yeah.
about the big groups now for a second.
Okay.
So when I was working for a large organization, so the HR team will receive hundreds, or if not thousands, of applications through the career page.
Yeah.
Then there is an artificial intelligence out there saying, hey, from the CV, this guy is good and this girl is better, or maybe this is not good, and let's put away that and let's put away this. So an artificial intelligence first is going to say if Rocco is good or not. Oh my God. I mean,
No
that's already the
human.
first
It's a
nightmare.
process. There is no human
It's
in there.
not human at all. But then, out of the processing of the artificial intelligence, yes, there is a human. But generally, who is this human? He's a little young student coming out of the hotel school with absolutely no experience who's going to go through these hundreds of applications because obviously the machine decided that these 100 people are the best people for your company. And so this young student or junior employee, anyway, it will be always a junior employee because the HR director is too busy for that. That's not important. So the junior employee will go through these 100 people and say, okay, I think that this CV looks better than the other one. No? Oh, this guy worked with 4 seasons, so he must be great. And then, okay, so the first human being has been involved, and then he goes to the assistant HR manager, who, okay, according to the young employee, the junior executive or the assistant, whatever HR manager, assistant of the assistant HR manager. So she will say, oh, okay, well, I've got now 20 CVs. Okay, let's make the best out of it. And then she or he will select another 5 people, maybe, 6 or 7 or whatever. And then out of the interpretation of a piece of paper, she will bring this to the HR director. And then the HR director will say, okay, out of this 5 or 7, I will take 2 or 3. And so let's interview these 3 people. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah. This is what's
Perfect.
happening. This
It's
is what's happening.
perfect.
And
It's the
that's why we end up with the talent that we have in organizations, because the last intern is going through the CVs.
How wonderful is life?
It is so, so true. And this is what I always miss. I'm like, where is the person? Yesterday I tagged you into one of the posts, and that guy, I really like his brain. He is born to recruit. This guy just brings you people, okay? And he goes around hotels, restaurants, he meets people, he brings them into the organizations, and those people stay. And they stay. Now you have always 1 or 2 that, it didn't work out. But he has this intuitive approach to who would be the best. He doesn't even see the CVs. And you know what? There was long time ago, maybe 5 years ago, when I was studying HR, when I was doing my CIPD, there was a case study, and it was a hotelier case study. I'm like, here it is, you guys, look, watch out. And it was Ritz-Carlton, I remember. So it's not a small company, right? So Ritz-Carlton, they did an experiment. They got the HODs, the managers together in a ballroom, and they invited candidates. Okay? They invited candidates for whatever role. I don't know, F&B, receptionist, doesn't really matter. Like line level employees roles. And they said, just have a chat, have a drink. They even had alcohol. They had not too much. They had canapes, etc., etc. And they were, like a banqueting kind of thing, have a conversation for 1 hour. Everybody was mixing, rotating, interacting with them. And the managers had to make a note. The guys, the candidates were allowed to give a little bit of information about their professional background, but what they were required to do or talk about more is what they would like to do and why. So, but the conversation was generally about the person. And the managers and the HODs, they had to make notes to themselves that who they would like to hire based on that interaction. And before this event, they received the same CVs without pictures and names and anything. Guess what? They went the opposite direction.
Of course.
They went the opposite direction. So the CV selection, when they saw the CV, I want to hire this, was a completely different selection than when they actually interacted with the people, not talking about the background. And, I like that person for whatever reason, a different result. So could we maybe do something like that? Removing that first step, from the first step, this CV mentality that can I please speak to for myself, rather than going through my CV that we do on silly recruitment or interviews. I don't know.
So I tell you another my story on how I recruit people. So the HR manager, she used to give me CVs, and she used to tell me, "Hey Rocco, I got these CVs. What do you think?" I said, "I don't know. Bring them in for a call for an interview." Yes, I will look through briefly to the CV just to see what story she or he is telling on paper. But I want to meet the person. 9 out of 10 people that I interviewed, if I see them that they have the soft skills that I was looking for the hotel I was working or was leading, they will start as an assistant for me first. Because when I see the talent and I still don't know yet where he or she can be placed,
Mm-hmm.
I recruit as an assistant because I had a position, but I never had anybody fixed. Because I don't really need an assistant. I mean, which general manager really need an assistant?
Oh,
For what you need an assistant? So you don't work? Excuse me. I think general manager they need to work. For smaller things I can understand. You don't want to waste your time for say I don't know claim your travel business trip or whatever. But this anybody can do. You don't need an assistant just to do that. Otherwise, your assistant will be wasting 8 hours, 9 hours, or even more of their time doing nothing.
mm.
Anyway, so my assistant will come, will join me for a couple of months, and then when I see the skills and the behavior and where could she or he fit, I actually tell this person and say, hey, would you consider a job in spa or maybe in food and beverage or sales? And she will look at me like that and say, why? You don't want me to be your assistant? No, I want you to be my assistant, but I think you have better skills than being my assistant. I don't need an assistant. I employed you because I saw a talent. And I think you would be better to work in this area than working with me. But if you want to stay with me, not a problem. And then, she will be surprised. And she will tell me, let me think about. And the next day, she will tell me, yes, I want to do that. Thank you.
And you know what? This is fantastic because a lot of these young people, and I always stand up for the young generation, as loopy as they are sometimes, they need guidance, but they are fantastic. And the way they think, we need that challenge, we need that cognitive challenge because otherwise we just continue our ways. But I love these young generations because they come into the workforce, they have no idea, and it can be for any industry really, right? They have no idea what they want to do, what they like to do, what they have potential or talent for. And I'm okay with that, We had that so many times in these large hotels. And colleagues are very comfortable coming to me because that's my job, to find their talent and fit them into the right role or advise them. And they come to me, oh, I joined food and beverage and I don't really like it, I would like to move to front office. Immediately the process comes in. Hey, chat, no, only after 1 year, only after 6 months, only after this, only after. And in the meantime, I'm like, okay, you wait 1 year, 6 months, the person will go. Now you lost somebody. Like, what is wrong with you people that all you can see is processes rather than the person? Now, if the person 3 months later says, you know what, I don't like that too, then you draw the line. Like, okay, sweetheart, what do you want to do? Let's sit down. But we don't have that flexibility, and you are immediately labeled as, oh, he doesn't know what he wants. Okay, he doesn't know what he wants, and that's okay. Can we
He's
benefit?
20 years old. What can you know at 20 years old? You only have 2 years of experience at most. How can you expect a young individual to know exactly what they want? I mean,
No, that they don't. And this is why I see sometimes how I see job hopping, that the guy is just trying out, and that's okay. So my interview question is, okay, lovely, you went through 3, 4 jobs. What's happened? What did you find over there? What did you discover about yourself? You don't like monotonous, routine, repetitive job. You don't like sitting at behind the desk. So then I can identify what is the person, why you left, not the reason that you hopped jobs 4 times, but what is it, so that I can use that information to evaluate the suitability for the job that he or she is applying. And we don't have that. We don't guide people. We expect everybody, come here, know what you want, stay with us, don't stay with us, etc., etc.
Sylvia, I share with you a little secret, another one.
Tell me.
So about 20 years ago, I was working at the Jumeirah Beach Hotel, And this is a real story, yeah, by the way. So after a year and a half or so, the management, I was still a junior man, I was still a restaurant manager at the time. But the management, they came up with a brilliant idea, in my opinion,
Okay.
which generated obviously chaos at the beginning, you know. So they shared with all managers and all the team members that in food and beverage, at least, I don't know why only food and beverage. They should have done this in the entire hotel, but that's okay. So we started with food and beverage, and they said, okay, every 6 months, everybody will rotate to another outlet. So we'll do cross training and this will be compulsory. It's not like if I want, it will be compulsory. And I said, wow, it's a great idea. So meaning that me, I can work in the Lebanese restaurant, or me, I can work in the whatever buffet restaurant. I was so excited. Anyway, so when we implemented, about 50% of the team members resigned. It was no joke. They left
Why?
because they didn't want to change a habit, because they were scared. They didn't like the manager. They were in the comfort zone. But the other 50% that they stayed, they were so excited. They were coming to learn. They were coming with the eye wide open like this, and they were saying, "Hey, Mr. Rocco, I'm so happy to be with you. I had so many good things, and the Italian restaurant is one of the most popular. Great." I say, "Welcome. Don't worry, we'll teach you everything you want to know here." And even for me, when it happened, the F&B director at the time, he called me in his office and said, "Hey, Rocco, we would like you to move to the seafood restaurant, which is no longer there at the Jumeirah Beach. I think it was at the time, it was the restaurant in town. I mean, the best restaurant. You had to wait like months to get there." And I said, "What? I'm going tomorrow." I was extremely happy because I didn't want to stay in the Italian restaurant all my life. Anyway, to tell you the bottom, what the results were, that the people that stayed actually got promoted, they got opportunity, and they even been transferred to other hotels of the group. At the time, Germany only had two hotels, but they were growing. So flexibility, you just mentioned it. We need people that they are flexible. That they are multi-skilled.
Yes.
But most companies, they don't get that.
I know, and I talked about it last week with during another recording. The topic was boredom at work and how we can break that boredom and I suggested it even a long time, even at my company, that rotate people. Now you might not rotate the entire workforce, because if you have 1,000 people, it's a logistical nightmare. But this is also a very good selection criteria or retention, that who wants to and what makes them different, what differentiates that group of people. They are going to stay, they are higher performers, etc.
Oh, you
You
find
know?
leaders. You find
Yes,
your future leadership team.
exactly. So you can take so much away when you start experimenting with the stuff and what happens. Now, obviously, you don't need to force people to do that. But then what happens to those who actually volunteered? You know what? I'm going to go to another restaurant. I'm so happy that I have done every single department in a hotel. I can jump in anywhere when it's busy, and I love doing it. There is a queue, there is that, there is that. I'm here. Like, I'm so comfortable. I can run an operation. There is no problem with that. So where are those people? Not everybody wants to have that, but it will also be a really good, during recruitment, a really good way of looking at people's CVs, if we really want to look at CVs. How many departments that person had gone through, and what can we do with that experience, right? So it's very important people's experience, but we somehow looking at from the negative way. And what is really missing for me is strategy. Now, and I wanted to talk about that with you because you've been in the industry for 30 years. I have worked in a lot of hotels. Let's just put it this way. Never in my life I have seen a recruitment strategy. Okay? You have your headcount, you have your budget, but who are those people? What do we need at any given time on that team? So let's say I have a vacancy all of a sudden. Do I look at the strengths of the team members? Do I look at the personality of those people? Who I need? Is it going to any big change going to happen within the department? So do I need to bring a person who is more flexible, more open-minded, or there is no change and what I want is a rigid standardization of practices and I need a person who will put, and that's the square person. Do I look at what do I look at? We don't look at anything. There is one person. Oh, okay. There is a budget for one person. Bring that person. And we go back to the CV. But there is no big picture, that I want to, my duty manager is leaving in 6 months because you kind of know who is going to leave, right?
Yeah, you can
So,
feel it.
yeah. So if I bring in a new supervisor or whatever there is that person, do I want that person to be or feel that position in 6 months, 8 months, because now I'm going to reshuffle my structure? There is nothing. And this is what I always missed, that we don't look at what we need. We just look at the number of how many people we need. No strategic thinking. No, we don't have, like, just a very simple one. There is a front office department. Nobody has empathy in that place. Okay. Just an example. Nobody has empathy. Your guest satisfaction is suffering and is below sea level, the numbers. And then I'm like, no, but everybody just understands numbers. They don't care about human connections. They are not empathetic. And I don't want to change them because they're never going to develop empathy to a level that we require. So based on my recruitment, I have one vacancy. Have I ever heard that somebody said, you know what, we need to find a person who is high on empathy, who will help us to solve the guest satisfaction problem? Never. Where are we with this strategy? Tell me.
Do you have some Kleenex? Because I have some tears going down. So it's, it's pathetic. But let's touch briefly before we close because it's nearly an hour. We can talk for
Oh, that's true.
days and
Yes,
days.
yes, yes.
But let me take another elephant in the room. Maybe the last for this conversation. I would love to have more conversation in the future with you.
Definitely.
Let's talk about reference check. So you did the whole process, and you recruited the best person. Now you have the Superman or Wonder Woman in the room. Okay, wonderful. Okay, let's do reference check now. Okay, I think I stop here because otherwise it's gonna be rude for many people. So the reference check are either not done or are asked by the company to the employees and say, "Oh, can you give me some references in writing?" Ah, sure, of course, yeah, I can bring you whatever you want. Or again, are done by a junior person who will send an email at most because obviously it's junior. Who am I to talk to the general manager of this hotel? So I will send an email, which most of the time is not even answered. Or it just say, yes, Rocco used to work here, was a great guy. Thank you very much. Good luck. Oh my God.
Reference check is ridiculous, bro. How many references do you want me to give you? Even if I was fired from my last hotel, let's assume I'm fired. How many references do you want me to send you, from senior HR VPs to CHROs to GMs? You never find out anything about. We need to get rid of reference check because this is just another process that we're just complying, but there is nobody questions it. Like, why are we doing it? And I think this is how we can close, that these things are remaining elephants in the room because nobody wants to talk about it. And the reason we don't want to talk about it, because then it would require us to rethink what we do and what we believe. And that requires effort. And nobody wants to take any effort or make any effort. Everybody is just coming, doing what they're supposed to do on paper, and that's it. There are no people in the hospitality industry who are there to change, to make a change. Unfortunately, we need to make a change because we are losing talent left, right, center. The industry globally is suffering and we are not responding. We are just crying. We are just throwing out videos. Come work for us. We be who you are. The young generation needs a little bit more than be who you are. They are who they are. And I think that's why it is, because we don't talk about it. Because the moment we bring an issue to the table, the next question, what are we going to do about it? And nobody wants to.
No, of course. Of
Right?
course. No, and if you talk too loud, then of course you are the wrong person in the room.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because you're not aligned with the company.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Bye. If I'm not aligned, probably I shouldn't be here anyway. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me. I'm gone.
Yeah, and it's so true. You are now in line with the company's vision. Okay, what is the company's vision? Keep losing the talent? Is this the vision? Because then, we are doing it. I don't even need to be in line with that. Anyway, Rocco, well, let's find another topic because I really enjoyed this one. And next time,
you know what we can talk about?
Tell me.
We can talk about hotel schools.
Ooh, I like hotel schools.
Or education in hospitality in general, because it's not just hotel schools. Each hotel also, they have their own learning and development department. So we can talk about also the training structure in hotels, how it works, what do we learn.
That's right up my sleeves because that's my job. That's my job. I'm the school liaison.
Cool. You know what, Sylvia? The danger is that elephants normally live very long. So we are in a situation at the moment that we can live with the elephant for over 100 years if we don't do anything about it.
Rocco, I have a dream, and that's a very cliche to say, and we can close on that. I have a dream that somehow us, the hospitality industry, and here I don't want to get division, all the hotel industry, all the hotel companies, big companies, small companies, doesn't really matter. We managed to turn the industry around and bring it back to its glorious old self, where a housekeeping, a waitress, a receptionist is a respected job, and somebody who is proudly coming to work and stands behind that reception desk or cleaning the room, because we lost that somehow. I don't know where or when that happened, but there is no respect, and we need to turn this around. And the moment we do that, talent will flood to our industry. So maybe our approach is the wrong approach.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. It was a pleasure to talk to you for an hour.
Thank you so much.